Best Bets is brought to you by BUSR, the official sportsbook of Matt O'Leary NY. Get a 100% match deposit bonus plus 25 casino chips when you sign up using my link, busr.com/Matt. That is busr.com/Matt for a 100% deposit match bonus and 25 casino chips. Let's get into the show. Hello and welcome back to week 2 of Best Bets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined by Newsday's Joe Manniello. Joe, how's it going?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It was a tough week for me on this, at least. I went 8-8 against the spread, which is very mediocre. But in this, we only did 6 picks, 2-4 here. Not pretty. You 4-2, so you have a gigantic lead on me right now, and I'm hoping to make it up in week 2. Yeah,
it's only 2 games. Week 1, I went 9-7 in the paper, which I'm happy about because week 1, I think last year I went 12-4. I couldn't believe it, but 1 year I think I went 3-13. So week 1 is, I think even 8-8 I would have been happy with. But it's week 1, and it's so hard to predict.
Absolutely. So just anytime you can hang around 500, I think that's a good thing. But
I actually like week 2 because there's a lot of overreaction. So if you can pick the spots where the spreads are a little off, and you can kind of decipher, all right, Vegas is giving this team too much credit. I think it's a pretty good week if you have a good read on it. But it's only week 2, so that's tough.
Hopefully we do that this week, and we will get things started with the locals. The Giants coming off a pretty big upset win that I'm not going to name names, but someone on this show predicted. The New York.
I'll name names.
It was you. So now the Giants are at home. They're taking on Carolina, who you also called was going to lose, and the spread is 1.5 now in this game. So who do you like here?
I mean, I picked them last week, like you said. There was some luck involved, so I'm not going to brag too much here. But I said 24-20. They won 21-20. And a big part of the reason why I took them is I thought the Titans were overrated, and I thought the spread was too high. And I also said that I thought Barkley was going to have a big year, and wow, he looked amazing. So me, 1.5, I feel like, maybe this is an overreaction, but I think the Giants are going to be 4-0 when they get on that plane to go to London and face the Packers in week 5. They play Carolina at home, very winnable game. Not a slam dunk, obviously. Giants defense has a lot of holes. So if they lose this game, I would not be shocked. But I think they're slightly the better team, and they're at home, and they got a lot of mojo after that huge win. I like Dayball. Jones played well, except for that one interception in the end zone. Barkley, like I said, was a monster. And if they held Derrick Henry to 82 yards, so if they can do the same to McCaffrey, I think he's a bigger threat out of the backfield as a receiver. So the Giants linebackers are really going to have to step up here. So I think it'll be a close game. I'm going to take the Giants to get to 2-0. After that, they play the Cowboys without Prescott, and then they play the Bears. So 4-0 seems realistic to me, but I would not be shocked if they're 1-1. But I'm going to ride them again. I think they win a close game. 20. I'll do the same thing. 24-20 Giants.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you. I like the Giants this week too, and I think it's going to be them riding a little bit of mojo. As you said, it's a big win for them in week 1 for Brian Dayball. I don't know if you saw the clips of him, but his reaction when they missed the field goal, and then in the locker room, he was having a good time. He seems like he has a really good connection with this team, and it almost feels like they feel like one of those teams where there wasn't really much expectation from the fans or the outside media, but they feel like they're just going to go out there and have fun and compete every week, which is really all you could ask for at a time when you're supposed to be quote unquote rebuilding. But like you said, there's 4 winnable games right here at the start of the year for the Giants. I think they get it done at home. Carolina is obviously a flawed team. I thought last week you'd have, Baker, the motivation factor would have him get that one done, but that wasn't the case. And, I think Matt Rule's really underwhelmed there in Carolina, and, asking that team to go on the road and beat the Giants, I think is a tough ask. I think it'll be a relatively close game, probably low scoring. 2017 Giants, something like that. I think they get the job done and win by a field goal here at home and get to 2-0.
There you go.
Let's move to the. What'd you say?
Now your Jets.
Yeah, now my Jets, who did not look very good in week 1. Now they go on the road to Cleveland, where Cleveland's favored by 6.5 now. What's the feel here?
Well, my first thought was I'm going to take the Browns here because the Myles Garrett versus that Jets offensive line. But then the more I thought about it, I think you said 6.5 now. It was 5.5. I think it's too many points. I think as bad as the Jets look, the bright side is hopefully they got the worst game out of the way. I think they have a lot of talent, and they just didn't execute. And I wasn't sure if LaFleur called the best game. Didn't seem that creative, and the offense was bad. I don't trust Flacco. He is 17-3 against the Browns, but that's when he's mostly with the Ravens, which are mostly good teams. So this is different, but it's still noteworthy nonetheless, I guess. I just don't think the Browns are a team that's going to blow anyone out. Brissett's a good backup quarterback, and if Hunt and Chubb go off, then who knows? But I think it's the NFL. So, like, for example, this happens all the time. The Jets looked awful in Week 1, so no one's going to pick them this week, and then they'll come out and they'll play a close game. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they can lose this game. 2017, 23-20. I think it'll be a game in the fourth quarter. I think I like Robert Saleh. I wasn't crazy about his whole taking names thing, but I think that was more for his players. I don't know if he really believes that. That's really his style. It's more like a Joe Judge thing from last year, the whole bravado thing. Yeah. But I think the Jets aren't as bad as they looked in Week 1. I think it was more of an execution thing, and they have enough talent, and pride is part of this. And I just don't see them getting blown out. So if they're not going to get blown out, I think they lose by fewer than a touchdown.
All right, and for me, there you go. For me, I really, to be honest with you, I went back and forth on this one, especially when the line moved to 6.5. Since when I was taking my notes to do the show, I must have switched the pick 3 times, but I ended up sticking with my original thought in Cleveland, minus 6.5. And you mentioned it a little bit when you started talking about this game. Myles Garrett and the defensive line against this Jets offensive line. They're a little banged up right now. You had a rookie 4th rounder starting on the right side who looked pretty good, but George Fant at left tackle, with Mekhi Becton and then bringing in Dwayne Brown, he's moved around a lot and he really struggled. And I think they would definitely fare better if Zach Wilson was playing this game. Completely different story, I think, because he can move in the pocket, where we saw in Week 1, Joe Flacco was kind of like a statue back there in the pocket at times. And my fear is that this is a game where the defensive line could just take over and wreck it. I really don't have much confidence in this Jets team until Zach comes back, because I think that the ship has kind of sailed here on Joe.
Okay. I get it, but hopefully LaFleur calls a better game, tight end screens or, halfback screens and quick passes or something.
Yeah, I think, if they get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker this week, who knows? Like you said, it's the NFL. Things can change all the time. I'm kind of hedging myself here too, where picking against my team. So if they win, I don't feel as bad about losing the bet instead of having the double whammy there.
Exactly.
So let's get to the best bet for games of the week. We're going to do the Monday night games. So since they're last, we're going to push that to the end. We'll do best bets now. Who's someone you really like?
Yeah, there wasn't a game that really jumped out to me this week. Went back and forth on a few games, but I settled on a similar thing that happened last year. I'm taking Green Bay minus 9.5. I usually don't like to take big numbers because anyone can do that. It's not that we're experts, but someone who does the picks column. Hopefully, we know more than just the average bettor. But then again, these bettors are pretty smart, so they might know just as much as us. But the point is, I feel like this is a great spot for the Packers. Last year, they lost Week 1, 38-3. And they won 7 games in a row and, went to the playoffs as a 1 seed. So, to me, the fact that they lost last week means nothing. First game without Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard was hurt. The Vikings were totally pumped up for that game against their rival and their new coach's home debut. So, I don't make too much of that game. Plus, the same thing with the Bears. They won 19-10, and there was no rain that game. I think they might have gotten, who knows, they might have lost by 3 touchdowns against the Niners, who were up 10-0. And the rain definitely played part, it was a factor. I'm not taking away the Bears win. It was a nice comeback win, but I think the weather has something to do with it. And Aaron Rodgers, he owns the Bears all-time 22-5 with 61 touchdowns and 10 picks, I think, which is incredible. And under new coach, I was getting wrong, Matt LaFleur, right? Not Mike LaFleur?
Yep, Matt.
Matt LaFleur, 6-0 against the Bears. And most of those, I think 4 of them were blowouts. So I just don't see this game being close. Sunday Night Football, I think the Packers win by 14. Maybe there's a backdoor cover at the end, so be it. But I see this game being 38-24 Packers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Green Bay a lot for that reason. I want, like you said, they just seem to always own Chicago. So I agree. I think they bounce back nicely. And I'm kind of going to go with a bounce back spot here as well and go with Cincinnati minus 7.5. Did not look good in Week 1. Joe Burrow turned the ball over a ton. I think he's a much better player than what he showed in week one. I was very, very surprised by that performance, and they still almost pulled that game off. So I don't think he plays nearly as poorly. And Dallas is just without Dak. I don't have much faith in them at all. I don't think they really keep this one too close. I know it's down in Dallas, and 7.5 is a big number to cover, but I think Cincinnati can win this one by double digits.
Yeah, I agree. I almost thought about taking Dallas, but so much would have to go right for them to even be competitive in this game. So I think the Bengals are the right play.
There you go. So how about an underdog this week? Who's someone that sticks out here?
All right, so I'm going to double down with a team I took last week that did not cover as my best bet, the Saints. This week they're getting 2.5 points. I think the line is wrong. It should be a pick 'em to me, or even the Saints should be favored at home against the Bucs. You've heard the narrative or the story by now, I hope. Tom Brady, since he joined the Bucs, 0-4 against the Saints in the regular season. He did beat them in the playoffs the year they won the Super Bowl, but in the regular season they have his number. And a couple of these, except for one game, they've been blowouts, 38-3. Last year they beat him 9-0. His first home shutout in his career. So that Saints defense they must know something. And the fact that the Bucs offensive line is banged up doesn't help. So I think the Saints will play much better than they did last week. They were rusty until they scored 16 points to come back, and they went on the last second field goal. I think they'll be much sharper at home. And, I always say, you always say someone's due. I don't believe in that. So Brady's due against the Saints. I don't believe in that. I think they have his number. There's something going on there. And the fact that the Bucs offensive line is hurting only helps the Saints. So I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be a close game. Of course, the Bucs have, a lot of offensive talent, but I see the Saints winning, 23-17, something like that, low scoring game with the defense again wreaking havoc. So Saints plus 2.5 and to win outright.
There you go. And that wouldn't be too surprising because, as you said, they've definitely had Tom Brady's number. I'm going to go with a team that I, too, think should be favored, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're getting 2.5 points against.
It's 2.5 now?
It's moved up to 2.5. I don't get
this line at all.
Neither do I. I didn't get it at 1.5, and then it moved to 2.5. So I said, okay, I mean, this. Am I missing something here, Joe? Like they played really well. They played well.
I mean, Well, the defense played well, but they had some. They almost gave away the game at the end. They probably should have lost. Extra point was missed, and in overtime they missed. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the fact that Belichick. I don't think he's going to go 2. I don't know. Mac Jones, his back hurts, and I don't get the line at all. But that usually means that Vegas knows something that we don't. So be careful.
Probably. I mean, I might be. Who knows? I might be setting myself
I agree
up.
with you. I don't get the line at all. I don't get it.
Yeah, that one just seemed weird to me. I didn't think the Patriots looked good in week one at all. And I thought, I was impressed with what we saw from Pittsburgh. We both agree that Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in football. So this one really jumped out to me. I like them a lot this week, and glad you do too. So let's get to the Monday night games. The first one, Buffalo and Tennessee, big line, 9.5. Who do you like here? The favorite?
Normally this would seem like an overreaction because Tennessee was the 1 seed last year. They've beaten Buffalo twice in a row. They always seem to play them close. But I don't think so. I think the Titans are overrated. They have no receivers. It's all Derrick Henry. If he doesn't get it going, they lost to the Giants at home. I think this can get ugly. I think the Bills might win this game by 3 touchdowns. 9.5. If they play the way they did in the second half against the Rams, turn a 10-10 game into a 31-10 blowout, look out. Bills, they're going to go on a roll here. So they've had extra rest because they played Thursday night. Now they're playing Monday night. And I just don't see the Titans having the firepower to keep up with them. The Bills have Von Miller now, great pass rush, and a really good secondary. So they have all the matchups to me in wide receiver versus secondary. So I think Miller has a big game again. And I do not see this game being close. I think the Titans are 1 seed out of the playoffs. I think this is a blowout. 35-17, something like that. 42-17. I don't see it close at all.
Wow. Okay. I agree with you. I think the Titans are a little overrated, and I think they're going to regress this year. But I think this will be a closer game. So I'm going to take the Titans getting the 9.5 points here. I think what they're going to try to do, and you mentioned it too, they usually tend to play Buffalo pretty well. I think they're going to try to run the ball and keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands as much as possible. Easier said than done, obviously. And with the firepower on offense the Bills have, as you mentioned, they could turn this game, the 30-10 in the blink of an eye. But I think this one stays relatively close. I thought about it with almost the 10 points, but at 9.5, I'm going to stick with the Titans. I think that it's probably, I don't know, maybe like a 27-20 kind of game. I think they keep it relatively close for the first three quarters. Maybe Buffalo pulls away a little bit towards the end, but I don't know. The 9.5 is scaring me a little bit off from Buffalo.
Gotcha.
How about the second game is Philly and Minnesota? Philly is favored by 1.5 in this one.
Yeah, I think this is probably the second best game of the week. I'm a big fan of hypotheticals. If you follow me on Twitter, I always like asking these poll questions. If you could only watch two games this week, let's say you didn't have a favorite team, you can only pick two games. I would pick the Thursday night game, Chiefs Chargers, in this game, Monday night Vikings Eagles. I mean, I thought both teams look great in week one. Eagles were my pick to win the NFC, so I'm going to take them here. Home opener, I mean, they were up 38-21 against the Lions, and they allowed the backdoor cover, which stunk. They were favored by 3.5, and they won by 3. That's the worst. But I think it'll be a close game. I don't really have a great feel on this game because I think both teams are really good at both offenses. But I think Kirk Cousins has like a really bad record on Monday night. I forgot to look it up. I think he's like maybe 2-7, maybe 1-7. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's not great. And I feel like could be a letdown factor here for the Vikings. They just had a huge home win against the Packers, like crushed them. I mean, 23-7, but it didn't feel that close. Justin Jefferson had a great game. I think this will be a high-scoring, back-and-forth kind of game, but I like the Eagles overall as a team more. So it's only 2.5, right? Spread?
1.5, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the spread doesn't even matter. If they win by 2, and if they win by 1, forget it. That'll stink. But it's basically a pick 'em. So give me the home team, and I think the Eagles are probably a little bit better overall. So I think it'll be a great game though. So I don't know, maybe like 27-24, 30-27, something like that. Eagles.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a shootout also. I think even maybe a little higher scoring. You might see both teams get in the 30s. I know you saw that with Philly last week. And I think there's a chance that it happens again here. They are I like their scheme on offense. Jalen Hurts has really impressed me. I was a little unsure about him going into last year, but I thought he showed me something, and then he's looked good last week. I think the addition of A.J. Brown is going to really help out this offense. And, the Vikings, they have their firepower too. Justin Jefferson's unbelievable. And then you have Dalvin Cook at running back, who is another solid back. And obviously, Kirk Cousins, I don't remember the record offhand. He usually struggles in prime time, though. It took him like forever to win his first primetime game. Yeah. But I think he's a good enough quarterback to, go back and forth with a team that's good in the Eagles. I like their defense usually. I know it didn't look good last week, and I'm predicting it's not going to look good again. But I think they're the better team on paper. And I think they get it done at home and win like 34-31, let's say.
Yeah, it'll be a great game.
Absolutely. So we'll just recap these quick.
Oh wait, I'm outside. I'm outside, and an airplane is flying in the sky.
That's got to be a sign. That's got to be a great sign. So first game here, Giants in Carolina. We are both on the Giants -1.5 for Cleveland and the New York Jets. I am taking Cleveland -6.5, and Joe is on the Jets +6.5. Best bet, I like Cincinnati -7.5. Joe is going with Green Bay -9.5. For our underdog selection, Joe likes New Orleans getting 2.5, and I like Pittsburgh getting 2.5. Monday night games, Buffalo, Tennessee. I like Tennessee getting 9.5. Joe is taking Buffalo -9.5, and we are both on Philly -1.5 over Minnesota. Appreciate it as always, Joe, and we'll talk again real soon.
It should be a great week. Thanks, Matt.